Hey, church family. It's so good to be with you again. Hope you're all doing well and staying safe and healthy. And it's good to get together again for a little midweek Bible study on this Wednesday. I heard a story about one mother and child in particular, although I think most of us can recognize it as something that could happen in any home with any parent or child. The mom had had a particularly hectic day with her 4 year old daughter, and so when bedtime finally came, this mom just, she kind of laid down the law. She told her, "You are putting on your pajamas, you're brushing your teeth, I'm reading you one book, that's it, no more, and then you are going to bed. It is lights out." And the little girl kind of took it in, and then she reached up to her mom, and her arms just kind of wrapped around her mom's neck in a gentle embrace. And the little girl said, We learned in Sunday school about little boys and girls who don't have mommies and daddies." And the mom felt tears begin to well up in her eyes as she thought, "Oh, even after I've gotten on to her and disciplined her, she's still grateful to have me as her mom." But then the little girl whispered, "Maybe you could go be their mommy." You would think that being aware of others who are in need would make us more appreciative for what we have. But truth be told, I think we all know that's not always the case. I can remember growing up hearing those words that I think pretty much every child, at least every child it seems like in the US, heard when we complained about not eating what was served for dinner. My parents would say something to the effect of, "You need to eat your vegetables because there's starving children in, wherever, fill in the blank, around the world, children who are starving right now and would love to have what you are eating." Now, my first reaction was usually to think, how is me eating this plate of food going to help them halfway across the world? And then my second reaction was usually to think, well, okay, if that's the case, well, how about we just pack up this food, put it in an envelope or some container, and then ship it off to them? Again, unfortunately, being aware of others who are in need doesn't always make us more appreciative for what we have. I mean, it should, but it often doesn't. Being aware of people who are around the world and suffering and starving doesn't always necessarily seem to make us appreciate that we have plenty of food on our tables. Being aware of Christians in the world who are being persecuted for their faith and their belief in Jesus Christ doesn't always seem to make us appreciate that we have the freedom of religion that we have in our country. Being aware of people who are in need in our world, who have no family or friends like many of us do, doesn't always seem to make us appreciate that we often have plenty of both. Sadly, it seems often the only thing that makes us appreciate something is having it removed from our lives for a little while. I mean, think about it. When do you most appreciate the fact that you enjoy electricity and running water? I'm guessing if you're like me, it's after you've had one or both unavailable for a while, right? Or even think about things during this pandemic. I think about how much more has not being able to meet together and to fellowship together and be around other people a lot of times during this time helped us to appreciate how much we need each other and how important it is to be able to fellowship and have that support and that community around us. In the prophets, God repeatedly rebuked his people for ignoring the needs of people around them. Perhaps more than any other sin, the Israelites were guilty of a lack of mercy and compassion. Listen to what God says through the prophet Amos. He says, "Woe to you who lie in beds of ivory and stretch out on your couches, who eat lambs from the flock and calves from the midst of the stall, who drink wine from bowls and anoint yourselves with the best ointments, but are not grieved for the affliction of Joseph." In other words, who are not grieved for those around you who are hurting and suffering. And listen to what Jesus himself said in Matthew chapter 25. This is verses 34 through 45. Matthew writes, "Then the king will say to those," and this is Jesus' words, "Then the king will say to those on his right, 'Come, you who are blessed by my Father. Take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me. Then the righteous will answer him, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and invite you in, or needing clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and go to visit you? Then the king will reply, truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. Then he will say to those on his left, depart from me, you who are cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me nothing to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me nothing to drink. I was a stranger, and you did not invite me in. I needed clothes, and you did not clothe me. I was sick and in prison, and you did not look after me. Then also they also will answer, Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty or a stranger or needing clothes or sick or in prison and did not help you? And he will reply, truly I tell you, whatever you did not do for one of the least of these, you did not do for me. So open your eyes to the needs of those around you. Take advantage of opportunities to help those whom you can, especially in these difficult times, and allow the needs of others to cause you to reflect on how blessed you are and the responsibility you have to show mercy and compassion to those around you and to use what God has blessed you with in a way that will glorify Him. Hope you have a blessed day. God bless.